Hi, everybody. I'm going to do something a little different today. I was going to just record this as an audio, but I think you kind of need the visuals for this. Um, I pulled out this rune. Let's see. Can you see it? Okay. It's Uruz. It's the wild ox, the auroch, it's called. If you know anything about runes, they're like letters, they're pictographs. Um, they're probably more like a hieroglyphics than they are to modern Roman letters, although they do bear a resemblance to our modern alphabet. The auroch was a wild, undomesticated bovine animal. And unlike, there's another character here in the runes called Fehu, which was cattle. And it's equivalent to wealth because it was, you would have cattle, you would domesticate them, and they would self-propagate as cattle do. And the more cattle you had, the more prosperous you were. And it would move. It was a very, it was almost a liquid asset, to put it in modern terms. The auroch is the wild, untamed version of that same energy. It is it's typically a masculine rune because it's active masculine. When you look at the energy that's going on right now, we are shifting from that feminine receptive energy. It's still there, it's always there, but it is doing its thing. It's in the background, it's gestating. And we're moving into this Aries season where we've shifted from the Empress to the Emperor. The Emperor is now active, taking action. And the auroch is that way as well. It is brute force in a way. It is your inherent willpower. And then that word will kept coming up. It's been coming up all over the internet. And it made me think, willpower, free will. We believe that we are somehow operating throughout our day on free will, whereas in reality, very little of what we do has anything to do with free will. Maybe what shirt you select, or how you choose to wear your hair, or things like that, is pretty much the extent of how we use our free will in this day and age. The rest of what we do is either on autopilot, asleep, or how would you say, manipulated to function in a certain way. And we don't realize that. We actually think that we are making deliberate choices outside of any external influence, really. So the auroch, again, let's see if, there we go, the auroch. I think it's symbolic of the horns, plowing through. It is there to remind us to be a little more conscious of your true will, your ability to actually choose where you think there might not be any option, the ability to manifest something where you think there's no possibility, or a very far-fetched possibility. What falls in the realm of your true will? And do you assert that will over yourself or others? Is it aggressive or is it assertive? And so as we're ending this month of March, entering into April, it would be good to sort of clarify some of these things before that new moon, where you can put forth your intentions and clarify what it is that you truly want. And is it, how pure is that? How unadulterated is that viewpoint or that desire? So, another thing that's been coming up lately, over the last several days, and numbers are just energy and frequency, like everything else, like colors or whatever. The numbers 111 and 1111 and 222 have been coming up. They always come up for me, and they come up for a lot of people, but specifically in the last couple of days, there's just been sort of this surge of energy of being in that realm and on that track. So I have these other cards called the Sacred Path cards. The card that came out right away, the card that came out right away was 11, which is a 2, really. The next card that came out was a 2. Now, the other funny thing about that is when I looked up in the book the information for the North Shield, the application of it is on page 111. Just as a side note. So I'm just going to show you these for a little bit. When we sit in this place of wisdom and gratitude, it's kind of interesting that they put those two things together, because we typically don't link them together. Let's think about gratitude first. Gratitude, when we start being thankful, truly thankful for all the things that come to us, we raise our vibration. We're coming from a place of receiving, of abundance, of look at all that I have. And when wisdom is, it's not about intelligence, it's about experience and knowledge, to know something. There we go. To have wisdom and gratitude together is very interesting, because having the wisdom to know when you should be grateful, which is actually all the time. So we talk about dualities a lot, the duality of any particular situation, light and dark, positive, negative, good and bad, polarities, in fact. In society right now, we are socially engineered to have polarized viewpoints. It's very hard to see a different perspective, never mind just the opposite perspective, but what about multiple perspectives, like a multiverse? It's very difficult for most people to do that, if they're even thinking at all, if they're even asserting their free will at all, to see all of that. That involves wisdom to be able to do that, as well as critical thinking and all sorts of things. So sitting in the North Shield, the North represents gratitude and wisdom. And I will read to you what it says, because I cannot memorize these things. I probably could memorize them, but anyway, I have not memorized it. So it says, some type of wisdom is coming your way if you have chosen the North Shield card. You are now being asked to show gratitude for these new understandings in order to continue the growth process. Wisdom is one of the ways in which you can experience the natural order of the universe and how it applies to your life. I'm going to say that again. Wisdom is one way in which you can experience the natural order of the universe and how it applies to your life. Wisdom is an inner knowing that cannot be traded, sold, or stolen from you. Knowing is truth that has been experienced in your life. The North Shield tells you that you have learned a lesson and derived from it a sense of self that will serve you for the rest of your life. The successful completion of this lesson should be marked by prayers of thanksgiving or acknowledged in gratitude. In so doing, you will have completed the circle of the sacred hoop and honored the source of that truth. Remember that the gift of wisdom is in the heart of the recipient and remains alive as long as it is honored and as a blessing. So I'll say that last bit again. Remember that the gift of this wisdom is in the heart of the recipient and remains alive as long as it is honored as a blessing. And I say this a lot, but it's always easy for us to bridge minor gaps, especially when we like something, especially if it's an easy situation. We're always grateful for something positive. It's much more difficult for us to be grateful for a lesson, a struggle, a challenge, a difficulty, painful episode, you any of those things. We forget to draw out the wisdom and the gratitude in those cases. And quite often, that's where we gain the biggest amount of wisdom and gratitude. So, okay, that's that one. Then we have the Sweat Lodge Purification. It's a number 2. Okay, and so that one says, the Sweat Lodge card speaks of a need for purifying some aspect of your life. This cleansing can be gentle and healing if you're willing to approach it in a sacred manner. It may be time to cleanse negative thoughts or attitudes. From another point of view, if you have people pulling you down and stopping your forward movement, cleaning away the barriers is called for here. Whether the purification is of body, mind, emotion, attitudes, or spirit is for you to decide. The constant rule of the Sweat Lodge card is that humility and purification always makes way for new life force to enter. Remember that once the rust is removed, you may shine in your own right. And shining in your own right is similar to shining your own light, which has been the topic of conversation for the last week as well. Between the tarot course that I teach and the EFT class, not dimming your light for the comfort of others while still remaining humble and not boastful is a challenge for many people. Feeling that they do deserve whatever it is that they're hoping to acquire, or attain or experience. Something even as simple as their hourly rate for the work that they do. A lot of people have a hard time with that. Somebody has mistreated you and you have a hard time confronting that or standing up for yourself or speaking for yourself. Again, it comes down to will. You're asserting your will and finding that balance between aggression and assertiveness, standing up for yourself and being humble. Wisdom and gratitude, wanting something and not being greedy. All of these opposing forces are at play right now, and we're sort of in this little lull until that new moon happens at the beginning of April. Just a couple of days. So I think it's a really good time to sort of do an emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical, whole body overhaul energetically purifying, purification, before that happens. That is the day where you can set those new intentions and be wide open and have it very clear on what your priorities and your desires and the natural steps that you're going to take for that month, and be deliberate in your action, not on autopilot, having things dictated to you. You're just like a bumbling peg, hoping to find a little spot to land in, or a marble rolling around until you find a dip that you settle in and think that's your free will, that you chose to roll this way instead of that way. Okay? I don't have much else on that topic. That's all for now. I'll come back with a reading later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And I thank all the people who donate to my little coffee fund. It's much, much, much appreciated. Thank you.